Welcome in, friends, to a Chicago Bears postgame show. I am your host, Mike Mercado. You can check me out over at the Sports Cubicle, Sports from the Couch, and of course, Bear Arrow. The Bears now 4-9 in the season, dropping another frustrating game to the San Francisco 49ers in the West Coast, 38-13. And a lot of questions coming out of this game now, right? There's not a lot of good. There's actually not much good to talk about in this case. So I think the one thing we should kind of hone in on here on this post game is what next? You see, because it was easy when you had an easy target like Shane Waldron. Well, he's gone. It was an even easier target with Matt Eberflus. Well, now he's gone. One of the things this Bears team has been really good at doing is talking. From the superstars to people we never heard of. There's been a lot of loose lips in Hallis Hall at Soldier Field. And, I've always been somebody who I like hearing from the players. I think it's great that there's player empowerment and that they feel secure and open enough to talk to the media and to talk to the fans and to show us what they're thinking, expressing in these high-tense situations. But this is how this team responded in this game. Heading into this matchup against the 49ers, who were on a 3-game losing streak, and people are talking about Kyle Shanahan getting fired, getting traded to the Bears themselves. And this was a team that was being talked about being depleted as a roster. Let me ask you, if you were a Bears fan or just watching that game in the second window of games, did the 49ers look like a less talented team than the Bears? So let's start there with talent on the roster. There's a lot of talent on this team. We went into this season praising Ryan Poles and the talent on this team. Well, we're this deep into the season. Christmas is right around the corner. Tell me how talented this roster feels now. It's nice seeing a Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze connection, especially today with those 2 touchdowns. And I think the world of DJ Moore. I think he's a hell of a professional. But you're watching that game, watching things that George Kittle does. The simple fact that it doesn't matter who the running back is. Kyle Shanahan is going to get them balling. They have weapons across the entire field. They make Brock Purdy into an MVP candidate. Where is the talent on this roster that's supposed to take it over the top to help win within the margins? You see, in the NFL, and I believe Olin Kreutz talked about this, superior talent and coaching are going to win. More often than not. It's not going to be the team that hustles the most, that gives the best effort. It's usually the best coaches and the best players win. Well, in this game itself, it wasn't just the talent on the field. It was the talent on the coaching staff. These are all coaches that have now been elevated from their positions that they weren't in the beginning of the season. So it makes you wonder, okay, we question how can you pass up Thomas Brown when you listen to Shane Waldron and you just listen to Matt Eberflus, and how can you not hire this guy over that guy? And then we see in an actual live rounds in the game how it looked. That's what we saw. So the talent on the coaching staff against this 49ers coaching staff was not a fair fight. Kyle Shanahan and his team are awesome. You saw how they were disguising and what kind of defense they were playing out there for Caleb Williams. It was a good adjustment. This team does do that pretty well, adjust into the second half on offense. But the entire 49ers coaching staff always has their team prepared, always has the next guy ready to come up and to go and to execute. That is the difference. You are looking for what the gap is, the difference between the Bears and, let's say, that next level of teams, the real competitors, the teams that are actually going to compete in this season and seasons moving forward, even when they have these type of setbacks with injuries, and not just any injuries that every NFL teams with every NFL team goes through, but their superstars. There's a universe gap between the San Francisco 49ers and the Chicago Bears, from the talent on the field and the talent in the coaching staff. Heck, you might even want to say, obviously, in ownership and the front office. You've seen it. There it is. That's what you need to go and become. I went into this game thinking the Bears could win this game. The way they were talking, the way coaches were talking. I think Thomas Brown mentioned that great coaches get elevated, good coaches keep their jobs, bad coaches get fired. Again, a lot of talking from this team when they haven't done anything. They've never won anything. So if I'm sitting here right now and trying to look forward, right? The adage here when we're doing a post-game show for the Chicago Bears here on the Sports Cubicle, on Sports from the Couch, I'm Mike Mercado. You can also catch me on Bear Era. The Chicago Bears head to Santa Monica, San Francisco, play the 49ers, and lose 13-38, now 4-9 in the season. We talk about the week before, the week that was, and the week that's going to be. You saw how things ended for this Bears team on Thanksgiving. You saw the fallout of losing your head coach, him being fired. And interesting enough, that defense looked worse without Matt Eberflus. I think that's also fair to say too. Like, I think it'd be disingenuous if I came here and said, oh, the Bears defense looked better without him. The Bears didn't look better without Matt Eberflus. So all that talk, that's done. Who are they going to blame next? So the week that was, the week that's going to be. Next week, you have another game against the Minnesota Vikings, this time on Monday Night Football. And I think they're going to play the Vikings tough. I think in division matchups, these division rivals, I think that's just more often the case. That's what's going to happen. But if you're just taking the sample that we like to take here, when we're looking at this Bears team, the frustrating part is, what do they do good that you can hold on to keep going these next 4 weeks? Caleb Williams? Yeah, that's awesome. But while Caleb Williams is developing, well, we have to take it to mind now. And we were all, sunshine, roses because of Thomas Brown. Thomas Brown is going to try to make his career off of the development of Caleb Williams. And if it works out, the symbiotic relationship would be he gets the head coach job. He's able to elevate. Caleb is able to elevate. But the wants for Caleb all now have different greedy intentions. And they always have, right? Everybody's career is dependent on the success that you have. But there's nobody in Halas Hall right now that more likely than not is going to be on this team next year. So what they're trying to do is survival. They're trying to get a job for next year. Secure payments for next year so that the mortgage gets paid. The Bears are in a really bad position. They're in a frustrating position. They don't play defense well. They don't protect their quarterback. They aren't disciplined. They are constantly playing from behind. They give up big plays. And at points when they do look good, they're their own worst enemy because they shoot themselves in the foot constantly. Bad teams lose the games that they've lost. The fact that they've lost them in spectacular fashion is the only reason that the Bears no longer have a head coach, that they're on an interim head coach. But bad teams lose these type of games. And I think it's so important to just really highlight this is how this team responded to the embarrassing loss in Detroit on Thanksgiving. The only game on television. You were the laughingstock. People were talking about you. Players were making fun of you. Behind the scenes clips on social media were coming out because of the embarrassment that you displayed on national television on Thanksgiving, that your coach put you in that position. And everybody had something to say. And that's how you responded. That's how the coaching staff had that team prepared. San Francisco did whatever they wanted to. At any point watching that game, did you believe that the Bears defense can stop this offense? At any point, did you think this offense was going to contain any type of momentum and put points on the board? So what do they do good? You could pick out individuals you like. It's still a team sport. And this team, on offense and defense, have now put themselves under the spotlight. Because they were really quick to talk about all the things they were disgruntled about and what they didn't like. But have you seen a great performance from this team? I'm not talking about hustling. Again, I'm not talking about that stuff. We all know if a player doesn't hustle, they get killed out there. But have you seen anything of these talented players, these superstars, the superstars too, who did a lot of the talking, put the team on their back and do something special? They're relying on rookies. They're relying on an interim coach and his vibes. That's where their Bears team is now in the beginning of December. It's beyond frustration. It's almost dumbfounded. There's no, I don't even know. I'm lost for words. Because it'd be one thing to say, okay, they're really bad on defense, so they're going to have to be on shootouts. Or they're going to have to keep things close and win by a field goal. This team doesn't know what it wants to be. Heck, they even talk about it in the game, the commentators. They never established a run. And we got to talk about Ryan Poles. We're not going to spend a lot of time on that, but Ryan Poles put this roster together. He decided that he thought the offensive line was ready to go. Was right there when the offseason started to sign DeAndre Swift. And they don't establish a run game. And of all things, DeAndre Swift, a nice player, nobody would say he's the most explosive running back, that he's the most dynamic running back, that he does anything great, but you were out there giving him big money. Roquan Smith, you decided to let go. You bring in Tremaine Edmonds. You tell me which player is better. I want to know what's in the mind of Ryan Poles, because for every time they landed Caleb Williams, which was huge, and they still needed the help of Lovie Smith, there's all these other moves that we look at. Nate Davis, Chase Claypool. So everybody's at fault for this. From the players on the field, to the coaches, to the current interim coaches, to the front office and management. They don't have football people up there. And the football people they do have up there either don't have full reign to do what they want or they don't know what they're doing. It starts from the top because they put this roster together. They thought this roster was good enough to compete. They were putting the expectations that this team was going to be out there to compete for a division. Look at the NFC North. How close are the Bears to competing? If it wasn't for the fact that they have the quarterback, this team would be half a decade behind from the NFC North. But because they have Caleb, they can have a quick turnaround. Do you trust the people in charge to do that quick turnaround and to make this team successful? Because what I saw today, it's going to take a whole roster overhaul, especially in the trenches. And you're going to need to do something you've never done before in a coaching search and a coaching hire, and get out of your own damn way and make the right choice, the smart choice, the only choice. We want to know your thoughts. It was another frustrating one. The Bears have a date with the Minnesota Vikings next Monday night. It is Vikings, it is Bears in Minnesota, but the Chicago Bears head to San Francisco and fall to 4-9 in the season, losing 13-38. Let us know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. What do you think is next for this Bears team? How do they bounce back? Do they bounce back? Will they win a game the rest of the season? Make sure you're checking us out over at the Sports Cubicle and Sports from the Couch. And if you want more Bear content, we have some amazing guests from the national scene, some of the biggest names in the industry. It's EJ Snyder, it's Kieran Hall, and myself, Mike Mercado, as we talk to the best minds in the NFL about your Chicago Bears. So make sure you guys are subscribing to us there at Bear Era Pod. Enjoy the rest of your night. Please take care of yourself and each other. The Chicago Bears fall again 4-9 in the season. We will see you next time. I'm Mike Mercado.